from Hurrdat Sports with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Had lots of things to talk about, but such little time on Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio. But now it's time for Morning Dump, and this is our third hour, our hour for extra thoughts alongside Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers. The big thing, the topic on my mind at least, DB, has been NFL and the playoffs and the draft implications and everything that kind of comes along with it. But then, yesterday I saw a stat, and it involves one of your guys from the Steelers, and it's Diontae Johnson. And Diontae Johnson,
that's the one
this
you
season,
pick?
Had 86 catches. 86 catches this season. No touchdowns. Can you believe that? No touchdowns from a guy of his caliber. It's crazy to think that he didn't end up in the end zone one time.
Kind of like Juju Smith-Schuster having over 80, but only 3 touchdowns, but he plays with Mahomes. I don't know. I love DJ. I think he's come a long way. Tomlin loves him. He went through a case of the dropsies. He and Ben had this love-hate relationship. A lot of guys in fantasy a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, loved DJ, and then all of a sudden, doesn't score enough, right? Plenty of targets, doesn't get in the end zone. So, I get it. It's mind-boggling.
That's what it is at the end of the day. I'm not mad about it.
So here's the thing.
I just think it's crazy.
So here's the thing. You look at his skill set. He's fast. He's explosive. He's small. He's quick. You'd think he'd be a touchdown getter, not a possession guy. But that's Matt Canada for you, because part of that is what your offensive design is. There's a reason Kenny Pickett looks really, really good when they throw the football in 2 minutes, because you've opened up the offense. Listen, Najee, great. I'm Team Harris all the way. Go, deuce, deuce. Get the double deuce loose.
He's insane.
He's way good. But that offensive line is starting to come together. It's starting to gel. Open it up a little bit. And Pickett has shown he can play. Let it go.
We all know a guy that dates something back to high school. Well, maybe me, because I didn't play the sport. You probably know a ton of people that are like, hey, I know this NFLer, I know that NFLer. But I used to work with a guy that went to the same high school as Diontae Johnson and would always talk about that he went to the same high school as Diontae Johnson. So in every conversation that involved Diontae Johnson, so did this person's ability to bring up that he went to high school with Diontae Johnson. So every time I hear the name Diontae Johnson, I think of X person who I used to work with.
He used to drive me crazy because he was a little over the top in terms of his theatrics. And, I like to play it a little closer to the vest. But, listen, I'm Team DJ. Makes a lot of tough catches. Him and Pickett and Freiermuth, depending on what the injury diagnosis is from yesterday, they have a lot of good young pieces.
Freiermuth is a stud. He will be top five tight end next season.
He's way good.
I think he will be a top 5 tight end next season.
And they just have to figure out how they want to play, because even defensively, they're starting to really come around, especially when Watt is healthy. Now they have to figure out what to do with Cam Bam in the middle, getting a little up there, but still highly, highly productive. And I'm not saying he's moving, but they'll have to build around him. Can't count on him to just be as dominant as he is over and over again. And for all the crying that people did yesterday about his roughing the passer, they did miss the face mask. So stuff like that balances out. Do I love the roughing the passer call? No, but you
kind of an eye roll.
It's a give and take in officiating.
In the next 100 years, you know how I did that 100 years thing during the show. I was like, 1923 to now. In the next 100 years, you aren't going to be able to look at the quarterback without being called for roughing the passer.
An eye roll. And listen, I get it, but I thought the stat that you were going to use is 16 consecutive years without a losing record.
Well, that too, but that wasn't as crazy to me as Diontae Johnson not catching a touchdown.
16 years in the NFL.
What is crazier? Maybe that's a poll. What's crazier, Diontae not catching a touchdown this year, or consecutive 16
it's
win
got to be
seasons?
the
or 16 consecutive winning seasons
in the NFL. That's got to be the NFL, the coaching record.
So Brent Sobolewski was also on the show at 8:30, and if you'd like to go back, go check out the podcast that's on Hail Varsity Radio. You have to navigate to that to get to Coffee and Cream, but it's there, so go there, check that out. And I asked him a question about if the Bears were to trade Justin Fields for pieces and then draft Bryce Young, if that's the right move, or if it's riding with Justin Fields and then trading back in the draft. For me, it's keeping Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. And he said it too. Justin didn't have the weapons. And look what he managed to do without the weapons. You build a good team around him, he's going to be sensational. Did you see the Bills give up on Josh Allen in year 2?
I get it.
Absolutely not. There are plenty of other examples out there where the quarterback did not show up right away, but by year 3, could you imagine passing up?
Although I will say this, I'm not sure Josh Allen has a comp. When you talk college, first couple of years in the NFL, to always in the MVP discussion, man, usually when you're inaccurate like that and don't play well against good teams, it sticks with you. But Josh Allen has, become that guy. But at some point, he's got to.
And it's good coaching too.
But at some point, he's got to beat Mahomes.
Well, and then you look at just say, what if the Eagles said heck no to Jalen Hurts?
Right. But you know what's funny about that? I was team Jalen Hurts.
I've always been a Jalen Hurts guy.
But do you know why though? It's not because of his physical ability. I've done this long enough now in coaching and playing. I'm going to pick winners because I've seen so many talented people not help me get over the hump. It doesn't matter. Like sometimes it's. You're fiscally savvy, or you can have talents in other areas, right? It doesn't just have to be athletics. But I'm gonna ride with the people that have a tendency to figure it out in crunch time. May not always be pretty, but I'm gonna go with I like winners.
And Justin Fields is at the point in his career to where he can only get better because he knows what it takes to play quarterback in the NFL. You look at a guy like Bryce Young, who is a phenomenal talent. He's going to be super successful anywhere he goes. He's going to be a great quarterback, but he's still going to have growing pains once he gets to the NFL. He's going to have to learn the ins and outs of the biggest game out there. It's a big change from college to NFL. If you were to make that change, if you were to make that move from Justin Fields to grab a young guy, why would you want to take a step back at this point when you can now just build around your guy?
I like to hear you say make that change because you know why? I'm a Michael Jackson music connoisseur, not a Michael Jackson fan. Man in the Mirror.
Mm-hmm. Great song.
Make that change. Take a look at yourself. Come on.
I'm searching for the man in the mirror.
Got to make that change. Yeah, I get it. But with Jay Fields, it's hard to, kind of extrapolate because I just look at your depth chart, and every week you're rolling out, an Equinus, St. Brown. You've got
140 yards in 7 games. Claypool,
Byron Pringle, Pettis, Velus Jones. I mean, those were those
Darnell
guys.
Mooney is at least fun to watch.
N'Keal Harry did make it through the first contract with the same team coming over from the Patriots. Mm-hmm. Claypool did make it through his first contract coming over from the Steelers.
Thank goodness we gave the Steelers another first-round pick because for those that forget, Miami does not have a first-round pick because of the Brian Flores stuff, and now that pick got stripped. So the first pick in the second round technically acts as the last pick in the first round. So now the Steelers have, 3 first-round picks?
So, no, they have 2.
Right, but I'm saying that second-round pick that acts as a first-rounder is now 3.
You got it. You got
to be feeling pretty good there. And, the Bears, in the same light, they have $100 million in cap space. So they can go out and sign a bunch of different pieces.
Do you know who you feel good if you're in the draft? How could you not want to be an Eagles fan?
Yeah.
With another couple picks in the first round. And your roster is really good.
Stacked. Look at that Eagles team. Where do they improve? They're old up front. So
maybe O-line.
Maybe O-line. And then maybe secondary?
Or a pass rusher.
pass rusher probably more than secondary. Their secondary was one of the best in the league.
And so, I think you got to go get a pass rusher and maybe another offensive lineman. Now, you took Juergens in the second round last year, and that's going to pay dividends.
Can't have too many O-linemen. You need 5 of them.
You want the scary thing? How about Lane Johnson opting to not have surgery? So
yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Full disclosure?
Nice pop sound.
Full disclosure?
Let's hear it.
You're sitting next to a guy that came back from an adductor and abductor groin tear.
That had to be miserable.
Zero exaggeration. Was torn from the bone.
Oh.
So did it in an arena
Gives me
game.
chills.
Got peeled off the pile. Went to go see Dr. Heiser, who's one of the best in the business, down in Lincoln, just to see about surgery. He's like, hey, listen, there was only a couple of instances that had been documented, like that they had literature on. That's what doctors call, hey, we have literature on a few things. One was a hockey goalie, tore his ad from the bone, the big, fat, fleshy one that wraps around.
Nice words.
Okay.
Like making me hunch over in my chair.
And a guy that had been torn from a horse, pulled backwards as his legs were in the saddle.
Oh, my goodness.
So they told me, hey, there's no guarantee that the surgery will work. Not sure on success rate, not enough case studies. So I went through rehab to wait for it to attach on its own and stretch and do all the things in the meantime. Now, I did eventually come back to play. Played in the indoor league. But 4 years ago, I had developed some scar tissue and some mass. I won't show you now, but
thank goodness I don't want you to pull down your pants.
Eventually developed an abnormality. And it burst during a Nebraska-Iowa game where I kicked the wall. This was Tommy Armstrong was playing, and Nebraska coughed up a lead, and I kicked the wall, and I kind of felt like I tore my quad.
Mm-hmm.
But I was sick for almost 2 months because I was leaking bad stuff internally. And on Christmas Eve, had an impromptu emergency surgery.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
All of that is absolutely 100% actual factual. So I say all that to say, good on Lane Johnson for wanting to rehab. He's going to give it, so it will be 6 weeks. Mine took 4 months, but again, mine was torn from the bone, so it's probably different. So we'll see how he feels. But they had to cut my football pants off. Like it rolled up, and I had a big
mass
ball. Yeah. No bueno.
No bueno indeed.
No bueno.
Hey, looking at
exactly
the playoff picture.
Shano knew I would come to work sick almost every day.
During that?
Didn't feel good. I was getting night sweats, the fevers. Didn't miss one day of
You're a tank.
The show. No, dumb.
And a tank.
It almost cost me.
Oh,
yeah. They said little less healthy, little older, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'm basically leaking toxins.
Right.
Yeah.
Still?
No.
Yeah, not anymore.
I don't recommend it being hard-headed.
When looking at the playoff picture, especially in the NFC, it's kind of weird not seeing the Packers in there. Just because
after all the trash Aaron talked when they were back.
Well, not only
you
that,
said you weren't very good. How about now? How do you like us now?
Just kind of like that's a team that you always expect to be in there when Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, almost like the Buccaneers.
You mean winning 39 games in 3 years?
Yeah,
13-3, 13-3, 13-3.
Pretty crazy.
And then this year happened.
Yep.
It was. So what were they? 4-7.
They were 4-8.
4-8.
And then they won
the table
4 straight.
Yeah.
And could have made 9-8 and made the playoffs, but then Dan Campbell is the only coach that probably takes a in-game interview seriously in the first quarter because he's like, yeah, we know we lost, but that's not stopping our guys. We're gonna take down this team because we don't want them to make the playoffs.
And hadn't had a winning record.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot, and they're professionals. So better job yesterday, Rivera or Campbell?
Interesting. Rivera coached well yesterday.
Sam Howell.
Well, Sam Howell was incredible.
And remember, I don't want to sway you, but remember a week ago, this is the guy that stood at the podium and said, we're eliminated from the playoffs? Didn't know. Didn't know that they didn't have a chance to get into the playoffs.
Right.
So then he had to rally his troops.
Which is crazy to see how poor the Cowboys played in that game. Remember, this is a team that was going for the 1 seed.
Yeah, and say what you want about having their spot in the playoffs locked up, right? 1, 2, 3. Playing for a 1 potentially.
Right.
That's fine. Dak was atrocious.
He was awful.
So
there were 2 minutes left. It was a 2-minute warning. And he had 19 yards and a pick six.
He was 8 of 19. Oh, I know. Yeah.
19 total yards and a pick six.
So at what point are they supposed to, hit the switch?
Remember, Dak Prescott was taken in, the 4th round, the 5th round?
Do you know how much money Dak Prescott makes?
Yeah, he makes
He's a $35 million guy.
And he shouldn't be.
He led the league, tied for the league in interceptions. He may be leading now.
He's the epitome of a quarterback that is great because of the people that surround him.
I'm not ready. See, I don't hate Dak, though. That's the thing. And it would be easy for me, AR, because I'm a Steelers guy. And I hate the Ravens, and I hate the Browns, and I hate the Cowboys. But I don't hate on them, right? I think Dak is better than his critics. He had only lost a couple of games. And I know when you take a look at his interceptions versus the number of interceptions, it's not great, but he wins a ton. And let's not act like...
Why, though? It's not just Dak that wins.
No, I understand, but somebody's got to get CD the ball. We didn't like Zeke Elliott. And
Cooper Rush got CD the ball.
We wanted to play, and then they figured out that Cooper Rush wasn't the answer either, right?
Well, because he absolutely isn't.
So, I mean, I don't dislike Dak like that.
But I also think that defense saves them more times than not. I think their run game saves them more times than not. Their offensive line is pretty dang good. It helps when you have all of these pieces.
They shuffled around that O-line.
A mediocre quarterback, though, could be successful there.
No, I don't know about that. Not over the long haul. There's no way. No way. Cooper Rush showed you that.
So who would be middle of the pack quarterback this season?
Gardner Minshew.
No, because he played 1 game. I'm saying like a starting quarterback.
No, you said a middle of the pack quarterback.
Right.
I'll give you Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold would be just as like Dak Prescott.
Did you see Sam Darnold's numbers yesterday?
Well, yesterday, but did you see him in weeks before?
No, I understand. And listen, I'm not one of those guys that hates on Sam Darnold either.
But the way that I look at it is, you put a lot of quarterbacks that are starting quarterbacks for teams right now in that offense, they could be as productive as Dak. I don't think Dak's a top 10 quarterback.
He's probably top 14.
I could see that. But I could see the 18th quarterback on that list still being productive in most games with that Dallas Cowboys team.
It's hard. Careful.
So, I mean, I don't even know if we can look this up.
Well, I think you can take a look at rankings.
Right.
Right? Shoot, Max Kellerman just came up with his tiered quarterbacks, and it was great.
Jared Goff could be successful.
Dude, Jared Goff played himself into a spot with a first-year coordinator where the Lions probably won't go draft a quarterback.
I think Derek Carr could be successful.
Really? Derek Carr is a guy that I call middle. No, I'll give you that because I like DC. I like Derek Carr.
I think he could be successful in that offense. Would you say Andy Dalton would be? Well, we kind of saw it.
No.
We kind of saw that already. But, he's above 20.
You know who's on the – so
Jimmy G would be an interesting one.
If we just take QBR, and QBR breaks it all the way down, it's not the same as quarterback rating. QBR is it is like the huge formula. Right?
And that's what I'm on right now.
Look at the back third. Kenny Pickett is 20.
Mm-hmm.
Dalton.
Aaron Rodgers is 26.
Stafford. Yeah, Rodgers was bad.
Russell Wilson's 27.
Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Wentz. Would Baker Mayfield win in Dallas? Yeah, he absolutely would. Mm-hmm. He's last. Look, you know who was poor in terms of QB efficiency? Deshaun Watson.
He was awful coming back.
Yeah.
He doesn't even look like he played football before he came back.
2 years.
Yeah, but he didn't even look like he knew how to play football coming
I'll take
back.
that guy, though.
He's a winner.
Hey, listen. I bet he command top dollar in the open market. And going into this season, he's top 5 quarterbacks in the league.
Speaking of, so Houston, because they got a boatload for Deshaun Watson, right? With all the picks that they have, they could easily move up to 1 in the draft.
Yeah, if you want to package them, right? Because they have – so in the first round, they have the 2, the 12, and is there another one in the first round?
I don't think so.
Just the 2 and the 12?
I think there's only like a handful of teams that have 2 picks, nobody that has 3.
2, yeah, so the Texans have the 2 and the 12.
Which is crazy. You could get 2 and 12 if you're the Bears, if you really wanted to. You could get them both.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that, though, if I'm the Texans. I keep them both. Because you still can get a quarterback you want.
You just have to settle with the guy. You wouldn't get your top option. Or you may.
Yeah,
you may.
you will, because the Bears aren't going to take a QB.
Yeah, but I'm saying like if the Colts were to trade up to 1, if the Seahawks were to trade up to 1.
But there's only one of those teams that can do it.
But that's what I'm saying.
You have to decide between Stroud,
2.
Bryce Young.
If you said C.J. Stroud your favorite.
Richardson,
if
one
you
of
said,
these
if
guys.
you said
Will
C.J.
Levis
was your favorite, and the Colts go up and take Bryce Young, you're good. But if you said Bryce Young's your favorite, and you don't take the 1, and the Colts take Bryce Young, now you have to – I'm saying you're settling with your second favorite.
But here it is, AR.
But you're not really settling with a guy like C.J. Stroud.
I don't like the word just because I don't know if you think there'd be enough difference between 1 and 2 of these aforementioned quarterbacks where there's a clear-cut guy where you feel like you're settling. What if they're interchangeable? And you're going to get picks? Like you're winning.
They're 2 different quarterbacks. One's a lot bigger.
Stroud, Young, and Levis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Stroud and Young are
so they're 1 and 2 no
matter what.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see if it plays out that way.
Yeah, I don't think but I've never been high on Levis.
Me neither, because he throws the ball to the other team, but we've seen this before.
Yeah, you've seen flashes. We've seen Josh Allen, right?
I'm telling you.
Right? I get it. I'm with you there.
And he's sturdy. So you know what you're missing? It's like drafting a guy that you think you can get multiple snaps from that's not going to get hurt versus a guy that you think can take the grind because he's been hit a little.
Right.
That's in a category of durability, that's going to have a ranker. And it's going to be high. And it's going to be in Levis's favor. So I think you have to factor that in.
So you're thinking 3 quarterbacks that Houston would be eyeing up right now, not 2?
Well, I think there's 4, and I think they'll take a look at all of them.
Well, yeah, they'll take a look at all of them no matter
all
what.
All of them, every last one of them.
When you're down to it, you're going to have 2.
Hey,
you're not going to have 3.
What if you get a quarterback guru? I told you what Sage Rosenfels told me 5 years ago, and I think it's the truest thing that I heard that not a lot of other people say. The most important relationship in the NFL is between the offensive coordinator and a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
No ifs, ands, buts about it.
Coaching goes a long way.
Do you think Urban Meyer can coach?
I think he can coach, but I think he should stay out of general public.
Well, that's fine, because I look at what Doug Peterson's done, who was fired.
Mm-hmm.
Fired after a 4-win season.
A Super Bowl winning head coach was fired.
Fired after a 4-win season, and 2 9-win seasons before that has the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I love it. He's a great coach. He's a phenomenal coach.
So I say all that to say there's got to be something about the relationship between a guy that is heavily involved with quarterbacks and the quarterback.
Sure.
Right? How do you like Eberflus and Fields?
I mean, you can't be mad about it, but I would venture to say Getsy and Fields is a little more.
You didn't like Getsy halfway through the season.
I didn't, because he didn't know how to use Fields. But then when they proved to me that they know how to use Fields, now we're back.
How about Johnson and Goff?
Yeah.
A first-year, 36-year-old OC. It matters.
It also helps, too, that, Jared Goff is first year in Detroit, too.
Why?
Just because you're dealing with now 2 new people, right?
But it's not his first year. It's their first year together.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
In Detroit.
Yeah, it's Goff's second year in Detroit.
Is it really?
Yeah, Stafford.
Because he got traded. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, you're right. So that argument doesn't make a bunch of sense to me.
But I thought you were going to make the case of them being together, first year OC.
Well, that's kind of what I was, but I thought they were two first years at the same time. That's where my head first went. But yeah, so their first year together, but you got to build that relationship then. So it's got to be there. How long does it take to get there? Well, we've seen that at least with the Bears, it took some extra time. With the Detroit Lions, I think a lot of that's Dan Campbell's doing.
How do you think you can bank on Fields being able to play like that over time?
You can't. He right now, I've said it before and I'll say it again, has the longevity of a running back. His quarterback longevity is not going to be till age 40. It just won't, because he takes too many hits. He bruises himself up too much, but he does that because that's the best skill of his game.
So, all of a sudden, if the Bears, take Skoronski at left tackle, you're going to, lose your mind. He's not a top 5 left tackle, I'm just saying.
Right. I know
But you do have to protect him.
Right. But, he takes a lot of shots in the backfield, but he makes more plays with his feet, but he takes too many hits at this point. I want him to slide more. He's the guy that, give me 2 or 3 more yards. I love the grinder in him. I love the scrappiness of his game. But in regards to protecting the quarterback, protecting the player, he's not doing a good job of protecting himself. He does a great job of, rushing for 200 yards in a game, but he sees the field so well. Oh. No pun intended.
So we talked about this before, and before we get out of here, I want to ask you, because he's got a top 5 grade. We heard Brent Sobolewski talk about it with Bijan Robinson and the resurgence of the run game, because you asked him about Josh Jacobs and being re-signed. Would you take a running back in the top 5?
Team need is a running back?
Would you take a running back in the top 5?
Yes.
So you think if the Giants had it to do over again, they would take Saquon Barkley at 2, who had a phenomenal NFL grade. Darn near can't miss. And then when healthy, Saquon's been pretty good. So
I was going to say, discount injury issues, I think, yeah. Christian McCaffrey was taken at what, 4?
Yeah.
These are some of the best running backs still that we talk about today. I think so. Especially if I needed a team need at RB, why wait for your guy? Now, there are those running backs that happen in the second round. Jonathan Taylor, for one, early second round.
Swift was a second rounder, right?
Swift was a second rounder. And late first round was Josh Jacobs. There are guys that you can get later on.
We got to discount Josh Jacobs because, remember, the Raiders aren't picking up the 5th-year option on any of those first-rounders.
Because they're really smart.
I just don't think they can.
Hey, now.
You're a rock star.
I didn't say the fan base was really smart.
Strack? Hey, now, you're an all-star.
Maybe the fan base isn't smart if they're still supporting them.
Well, according to your owner, Mr. Davis, they aren't, and he's sick of seeing Las Vegas be the friendly confines to the visitor. I don't know why he can't get his mind around a franchise that you moved away from your fan base, you put them in a new city, and you wonder why Vegas would be a user-friendly advantage for the opposition. Well, I don't know why, Mark.
Is there any other city that is congregated to that much more than Las Vegas?
No, and that's part of the problem, which is part of the head scratch on why he can't figure it out. What are you mad about? You're not winning. You left your fan base in a couple of states over.
Right.
Vegas is a destination or a vacation place. You think opposing teams aren't going to want to go there and buy your tickets because you guys have a good time in Vegas and leave?
He shouldn't be mad.
That's the American dream.
That team is number 6.
Hey, honey.
When it comes to
let's go gamble.
When do we play the Raiders this year? Let's make that our roadie, okay? Okay.
I'm with you.
Why wouldn't you?
Going back to that running back case, though, I just thought about this. Would you take a running back in the top 5 was the question. And I said yes, but now I'm starting to think that there are so many running backs out there that could be a top 10 rusher on your team. Take Jamal Williams, for example.
Jamal.
1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah, he runs hard, too.
So
tell that to Green Bay.
Would an offensive
what was
lineman?
He was there 17 to 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jamal.
Would an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, a pass rusher be better off than a running back at 5? At this point, maybe, because you can go out and get a Jamal Williams in free agency.
Well, that'd be a good one. He's 32, though.
Is Javonte Williams the answer?
Oh, boy, if healthy. Was he in Denver?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, he's nice. I didn't love him coming out, though.
Because what was he, a second, third, second? I think he was a second.
Second, I think.
Because who was the other back there? He plays for the Jets. Michael Carter. I think he was third.
So
third rounder?
Those guys, yeah. How about Carolina having both those guys? Isn't that weird?
Kenny.
Yeah, him. He was drafted in the – I hate when I do this.
Who am I missing?
I am missing that he was drafted in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
I was right, 35. Seemed high, didn't it?
That is high. But he had more hype than Carter.
Couldn't stay healthy. Still averaging over 4 per.
So I hope that he tears it up because he's in my dynasty league. He's one of my running backs.
So when you say dynasty, does that mean you get to keep him?
The whole team. You keep the whole team. So, my whole team from last year is my team the following year.
Ooh, I don't know if I would like that.
It's a unique and fun approach because you know exactly what you're getting the following year. And then you build your team based off of rookies and then trades. It's like you own an NFL team. Your own fantasy NFL team.
Interesting. Highly competitive, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Is this the high-scoring one with the points per carry, per rush?
Yeah, points per rush. It's kind of a weird format, and I don't think a lot of people do it. I'd say less than 5% of leagues do a point per rush.
This from Mr. Fantasy himself. Totally on me.
Hey, before we go, your team, your Super Bowl prediction, because you asked this to Brent. I want us to give our 2 now. And
Well,
Shaner, you can play.
I'm staying with the team that
you snuck in with.
That's the Niners. I like them in the NFC.
I thought you meant the Chargers.
That's my dark horse.
Okay. I thought that's the team you meant sticking with.
But I'm going with Bills and Niners.
I don't think any team's beating the Chiefs. I keep the Chiefs out of the AFC.
It's weird because I think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC, but they're just not playing very well. They just have Mahomes.
And I think that's enough a lot of days.
Well, we'll see. That receiving core scares me a little in crunch time. But especially if the Bills secondary gets healthy. And it's weird. I've said it all year that I think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC. But I'm going to go Bills Niners.
Is it too cliche to take both 1 seeds?
No, you do what you want to do. You're the man.
Because I love the Niners, but I want to change things up. I think I'll go Eagles and Chiefs. That'll be mine. Shaner, quickly, yours, and then we'll bounce out.
Niners, Chiefs.
Niners, Chiefs. There you have it. I think we have a good spread there. We kind of leaned heavy.
So we got a lot
no
of Niners,
dogs.
though.
I like the Niners, though. I didn't take them.
It'd be an interesting.
Wait, he's got Niners, Chiefs.
I have Chiefs and Eagles, and you have Niners, Bills.
So I saw who's the crazy guy that does all the stats. He talks real fast. He got it into politics, and they use him on Jacob. Yes,
there he is.
Only a 34% chance for the Eagles.
I would love to see a stat for how
about
often.
How he just walks. That's twice in the last week that he just walks in and answers something that it's taken us a considerable amount of time to think about.
That's why we keep him here.
I would love to see a stat for how often the number ones get in to the Super Bowl.
Well, you can. There's this
I'm
thing called
sure it's out there.
There's this thing called Google.
Okay, Michael Severe.
Can you type it in?
GIB.
And then you hit enter.
Google it, brah.
Or return.
Okay, Michael.
Hey, if you have any insight on the Super Bowl or your picks, hit us up on Twitter. You can find Damon at Damon Benning. You can find me at Andrew Rogers TV. You can find the show at Hurrdat Sports. That's for Morning Dump. But if you like coffee and cream in the morning, which we hope you do because we're having a blast recording each and every day with you, you can find – what's that?
It's Coach Osborne. He's excited.
There it is. You can find that podcast at Hail Varsity Radio. You can follow the show at H Varsity Radio, or you can catch us live, 590 ESPN, 1480 ESPN, live on YouTube, live on Twitter every single day, Monday through Friday. We'll see you tomorrow.